All right, man. I'm excited to get going here. We got myself and we got Dave Boyce. We're going to be talking about PLG. We're going to be talking about freemium products that sell themselves, how PLG and AI are disrupting the old model. So we got Dave Boyce, new author of a book called Freemium. You did it, man. You totally did it.
Got it across the line.
Tell me it's not. I mean, I know we've never had kids, we've never had babies, but I mean we have multiple kids. But did it feel like just? I mean, it must have been a process to get that book done, right? It's just like
Says it. Everyone says it. And so we both went to college. You remember staying up late to do a paper at the end of a semester and kind of like pushing, and maybe it takes more time than you thought. And so you're going to bed at 4 a.m. instead of, you thought you'd be done by 10 p.m. in order to go out with your friends. And no, it took you till 4 a.m. So just take that and multiply it by like, I don't know, 200, because you do that like over and over and over, like multiple times on each chapter, and you got 15 chapters. So if you like that, then, write a book. And I actually kind of do like that. So it was actually good.
Yeah. I mean, but when would you say of length, like how long did this take to do? I mean, you've been
Yeah.
It's been a year or two, right? I mean, this is a while.
3.5.
Oh my goodness.
3.5. Took a while, tested some concepts, did some research, talked to people, put some stuff out on LinkedIn, met some experts. And then, I released some blogs, as like just kind of like testing. Could I pull thoughts together like on like an essay basis, which would be the basis for a chapter? And then, and start working with an editor. It takes time.
What's your advice for people, wannabes like me, who it's like a bucket list, I got to write a book, but what's your high level advice on writing a book besides that it times it by 200 for the college paper?
Well, if you like that creative process, I think you'll like this. And so then the only other advice, Gabe, is just, I don't even know. I don't know if this is even good advice. For me, I had to wait until I had some space in my life and I could commit to it, to finish it. I know a lot of people who will get, half of a book written, 3/4 of a book written, an entire book written, but they can't go back and do revisions, and then they get stuck. And then, so if you can actually commit to finishing, then I say start, like just do it.
Yeah. I might have a couple books with like one chapter somewhere in somewhere.
I do too. I'm speaking from experience.
Maybe 20 books with one chapter. Oh man, I actually wonder. Yeah, God, I feel like, I mean, I do a lot on like LinkedIn. I obviously apologize for those. I'm a little bit loud and I spam people on LinkedIn, but it is such a creative outlet. Like every night I want to think and get that out. When it really turns into like a book and bringing it all together, it gets intimidating fairly quickly. So
I think I know several authors who use LinkedIn as testing ground for kind of ideas. And I posted, I think, every day on LinkedIn for like a year and a half straight, like every day, like every single day.
It is a great place you're right. You get the ups, the downs, some people angry. So that is a good idea. That is a good idea. Well, I want to dive in. So you've been running around speaking about, every time I'm speaking of LinkedIn, every time I look at your LinkedIn, you got a picture with me, which was cool, but you have pictures of all these people, you're at places, you're speaking. So I'm sure it's been an exciting time. Obviously, today we wanted to bring you on and make sure people understood a little bit more about what it is, because obviously, to your point, a lot of research, a lot of time went in there. So let's dive into the topic at hand. Maybe hit us big picture here real quick. Like AI is obviously the talk of the town. What is really going on with AI, and how does PLG kind of fit in with that shift as you go around and coach some of these companies?
I want to go maybe like even one click higher, Gabe. I think this is part of a trend that started way before kind of AI was popular and is going to extend way beyond today. And I think that trend is self-service.
Yeah.
So if you think about like, hey, what happened in like 1997 when the internet, started hitting all of our desktops, e-commerce, right? So now all of a sudden retail is not a facilitated transaction anymore. I mean, I know there were catalogs, mail order catalogs before, but e-commerce like brought self-service right to the forefront. And then the cloud made it easier to kind of push services, not just products, into kind of made it more. And then mobile pushed it to kind of every dark corner of the world, like this ability that I could just get services and products like right here.
Yeah.
PLG, product-led growth, is a part of that trend. Let's make it
Mm,
simpler and simpler and simpler to buy and achieve impact with solutions, like in the early days, Dropbox, DocuSign, kind of the
100%.
OGs of
Yep.
PLG. And now AI is just making it even easier to be
Yeah.
self-service in terms of like how I want to access impact in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Because you've kind of seen that trend. So you even back it up further. It isn't just PLG. It is kind of a self-service movement that, started way back when, and it's only getting easier as we go forward. Do you feel like, when people ask you, is it a must? Like, Dave, do I have to be self-service? I mean, are companies doing it? I think the way you've sometimes framed that to me is I think people misunderstand the self-service concept. Like, it doesn't just have to be a free trial on your website. There's something about self-service that it's just making your product easier across the board to upsell, to engage with,
Yeah.
to use, etc.
Yeah.
I'm stealing your thunder, but how do you typically respond to that idea that, oh man, you're talking about the 1% who can build a self-service model? It's not true. It's kind of a movement.
Yeah. Well, when you change the phrasing to ease, yes, it's a must. It's absolutely 100% a must. Like, you just think about your own life as a consumer.
Yeah.
You go to a website and you have a problem that you want to solve, and website A says schedule some time with a rep so that we can show you a demo, so that we can figure out if this would be the right. Website B says try it now. 10 times out of 10 you're going to do website B. Even if you're willing to schedule that demo, you're still going to do website B. And if
Yeah.
website B can kind of like get impact to you before you kind of lose interest and you're off to the races, you'll cancel your appointment with website A. So just ease of
Totally.
use, streamlining the journey to impact is absolutely a must. Whether that's through a free trial, whether that's through a free version, doesn't matter. To your point, like unless one of your competitors are doing it, and then it does matter, because as
Yeah.
soon as there's somebody in your space that's making it easier to do business, the water's going to start flowing towards that.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if there will be an emergence. I mean, we were just playing around with the old form, and I can't believe we still have a form, like a form into
Right.
a demo. It's bonker. I'm getting older, but geez, how is that possible but the thing that I don't feel like we've been able to find that I think that might be an interesting combo, and I'm just throwing this random idea out because it's really on my brain, is, how do you bring the best of those two worlds together? Because there is the challenge, I think sometimes some of us have found. I'm not really a builder. I want to get into build versus buy in just a second, but I find myself sometimes getting into trials and getting turned off very quickly, even just because I'm just not that smart when it comes to tech. But, how do you merge that where it's like you offer an experience with the product that maybe very quickly or even brings in a person, fairly quickly, where it's like, how do you, I know, look, there's pop-ups in products and there's app queues, and I get that, but that's not like, how do you merge get a demo with
Yeah.
the sales rep and like the experience? I wonder if we'll get there sooner. Cause for me, that would be ideal. Like, I actually want to talk. I miss the old phone number on the website where you can just call and talk to someone. I want now, but I want the product as well. So merge them together to get me that,
So here's what we need to
This is a
deliver
random
for
thought.
you. And
It's
I
just
think,
a random.
no, totally get it. So take that self-service thing one step further, and you're like, dude, it's not one size fits all. Like, what if I don't want to stare into an instructions screen and go step 1, step 2, step 3?
That's right.
So great.
I hate that.
I think what we need to do is provide choice. And the person who really articulated this for me the best is he's currently the chief customer officer at Canva. He was previously the CMO at HubSpot, and this is where he was articulating this vision to me. He didn't get all the way across the line at HubSpot. He's now implementing the strategy at Canva. He says, let the customer choose. Like, when the customer wants to talk to a robot, let her talk to a robot. When the customer wants to talk to a human, let her talk to a human. When the customer wants to just get her hands on the product and get started, let her do that. And there are situations where that's all true. Like, I'll talk to a robot at 11:30 at night if that's my
I know.
option, and
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
robot speak my language. Maybe I speak
Mm.
Farsi, and maybe I have some embarrassing questions. Like, that's actually more helpful than talking to a human who might, make me feel
Oh,
dumb
I
about.
like that. I like that. I might just do that. That's the best thing about working more with startups is you lose some of that red tape. And yeah, I'm just gonna change that demo. I'm gonna do that this weekend. You're right. Pop in there, and you want to go self-serve. You want to do a blended version where an agentic agent maybe walks you through something, or do you want to just actually do the demo? I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
What do you think of this buy versus build stuff that's kind of going on? I mean, obviously, self-service moves towards what we were just saying, like you are empowered as a builder to kind of interact. And there's these tools, these makes, these N8Ns that are building kind of agentic flows and allowing people to, do things like Minecraft, like Minecraft for enterprise type things. But how do you see this playing out? I mean, I went a little deeper into make, and I did kind of get to a place where I was like, you know what? There's going to be builders, and maybe we're going to emerge, and there'll be a whole generation of enterprise builders. But I definitely walked away feeling like no enterprise CIO is going to allow all these builders to just walk around their company and hook to Salesforce and do whatever the hell they want, type of thing. So I'm
Yeah.
like, there's going to be buyers as well. How do you see this buy versus build and the ease and the freemium model kind of playing out here with AI in particular?
So I want to buy an AI tool, or I want to deploy AI against some process in my business. Do I buy an agent that's pre-configured to do that job, or do I build one? That's the
Yeah.
question, right?
Well, it was
Okay.
really long, but thank you for summarizing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that you can't do, in my opinion, is outsource your strategy to an AI vendor. I do not think you can do that.
None of them seem to have that. I think somebody was debating the other day, like so many AI vendors are immature and young that they are bringing tools.
Yeah.
They're not bringing, back in the day, Marketo had an opinion. SaaS companies had
Right.
an opinion. There's no opinions. It's
Exactly.
just like, here's a tool.
Exactly.
So you really,
Exactly. And so we want to, like, hey, I'll speak for myself. I'm 57 years old. I'm not really, jiving with all this AI stuff, but, so who can I just call to sort of like hand this problem to? Oh, there's a cool vendor. Like, now
yeah,
you'll be my AI slide in my board deck. No, that ain't going to work. Like, you actually do have to develop an opinion. Like, I have to, even as a
I
57 year
love
old,
it.
I have to develop an opinion. What is the process that I'm trying to architect and execute within my business? Okay, got it. Break that down into stages, figure out the handoffs. Wow, that's way beneath me. No, it's not. Like, this is what we did in lean manufacturing. You figure out how something gets from one end of the line to the other. You figure out the steps. You have humans do it until it's repeatable. Then you sort of move it into a little bit more automated state, and eventually you hand it off to a robot.
Yeah.
But you have an opinion of like what's supposed to happen. So what would a little bit more automated state be? It might be one of these N8Ns. Maybe you experiment your way in, build something like a little kind of thing that you're going to kill, but you just want to see proof of
Yeah.
concept. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually working. Now let me go like put a robust robot in place that's trained to do that. Would be one way to think about it, Gabe, but I know you can't outsource your strategy. You got to be thoughtful.
Look, and I think I loved your board slide. It felt like that was maybe possible a year. You could just, we're talking to some AI vendor and that could be the AI kind of board slide, but
Right.
it feels like
we got through the board meeting.
We've moved past that kind of like, hey, I'm doing AI versus I'm now starting to see. Feels like there's a little more pressure to see some results. And I know people have kind of been struggling finding some of that in certain areas, but it was shiny object for a while. And now we've moved to like, let's see some more meat on that. Want to double click into that idea just for a minute. I mean, you're obviously running around a lot talking to people about this ease of use and how AI is starting to address it. And we're moving to this PLG type world. What are some of the bigger mistakes you feel like leaders are making trying to kind of adopt this? They've got kind of an old school model. They're trying to get some of the PLG or AI in there, but it's tough to kind of rip out the old and go to the new. Any lessons learned you're kind of seeing on the road here?
Yeah. I'll tell you one mistake that I've made, and that I hear it all the time, and I just kind of played into it. This goes back a couple of years. I was working with a company out of Brazil who wanted to add AI. Okay, got it. Cool. So let's build, I'm sorry, Gabe, I said it wrong. Wanted to add PLG. Okay, cool. Let's build some PLG for you. well, my sales leader doesn't really want PLG because that means we got to put, you know, $19.99 prices on our website or free price on our website.
Yeah.
I said, that's fine. Let your sales leader do the enterprise stuff and we'll build PLG over here and we won't create any channel conflict. I have come to believe that that's a mistake, Gabe.
Interesting.
That I've come to believe that that's a mistake. I think the first place to build in automation, and I'll use automation to encompass AI or PLG, is adjacent to and in service of what's already working. So
Yeah.
if you have an enterprise motion that's working, figure out within that what you can make easier, what you can streamline, what you can automate. And then if you're going to build something, build it adjacent to that so that it leverages, so that you're siphoning off lead flow, not creating brand new lead flow way over there with a completely different kind of customer set that you've never met before. You're siphoning off and treating it in an adjacent way, not a completely disconnected way.
So no, that's interesting. So if you dive it, so it shouldn't be two separate motions in two separate parts of the house. You are trying to kind of bring it in and make, siphon off, you use the word, make it feel like it's kind of part of the motion rather than kind of outside that motion. Yeah.
Well, I can cleave it into two separate motions, but make those motions adjacent to each other. So let's say I have $100,000 ACV kind of go to market motion that's really working. Is the next thing to build a $1,000 ACV motion? I don't think so. It's so different. It's all inbound. It's SEO, it's SEM, it's content marketing. It's high churn, high velocity, low ACV. Like, it's a completely different game. It's almost like saying, hey, I'm really good at American football, therefore I should enter the chess grandmasters, championship. Completely different game. Like, maybe
that would be cool if an American football player did that.
How about maybe look into doing rugby? It's a different game.
Yeah, cool.
But it's an adjacent game.
Yeah. But they end up having, I think the challenge people have often said, right, is like it does siphon off, or it hurts it, or it's now I've got these enterprise companies playing with my trial or something, and it's kind of messed up my motion. To me, that seems like a good thing, actually. Like, if I think a lot of old school people would say enterprises would never, nobody in an enterprise would ever want to, play with the product first. I think we've proven that with large clients like no, that isn't true. But it can work together in that way and not mess up the motion. So even if you're running it adjacent, you might see some overlap, but that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So since that project that I described in Brazil, I've worked on many other projects. Now that is indeed what we're doing. So I believe that most forward-thinking sales leaders are more embracing today of PLG motions. Almost everyone I meet, if you just kind of knows that can help them. And once we build something kind of adjacent to their motion that supports their motion and pulls people into their motion, then they like it. And it takes less time. The way that works, Gabe, and by the way, all PLG doesn't have to be acquisition. We're talking about acquisition right now, but you can PLG a renewal, you can PLG an expansion.
I love that thought. I think that's I don't think everybody's gotten that. I think it always goes to, it has to be a trial. But where have you seen most people, where are you seeing the next biggest win? I mean, is it onboarding? Is it renewals? I mean, make it easy for people to buy from you the second time. Come on, where do most people get bigger wins? Do you see that normally?
Well, the fastest win is a renewal. I think that's the very fastest win, to your point. Yeah. Like, you're already configured, you already have the contract terms, you already have, it's deployed, it's already working. Like, you don't even want more of it. You just want it next year. So it's like, yes, please. And what percentage of your renewals could just be handled with a click of the button versus needing to talk to them? Now, I know a lot of sales leaders say that's an opportunity to have a conversation about expansion. Got it. But not for 100% of your customers. Some of your customers are already tapped out in terms of white space, and they're perfectly happy. And I don't need to force a conversation. I can just send them on their happy way. And then that way I have bandwidth to to speak with the customers where there is maybe a logical expansion opportunity.
I love it. Yeah, that makes tons of sense. So you are seeing, a lot of the projects are kind of merging some of that stuff together. What would you say? A lot of new AI vendors out there, myself included, trying to kind of figure stuff out. What's the high level coaching, you'd give on that front? Like, so many people are nervous to try I mean, they want to try it. They
Yeah.
have to try it,
Yeah.
but they're nervous about it. And so as a vendor, man, I've seen now and you probably, I was talking to someone the other day and they're like, no, it's a 75K buy-in, and I was like, whoa, like, no way, no, anybody's going to buy that. So you're way over. That feels like a big ticket item for kind of a smaller to get in and experiment with AI. I mean, AI feels like it's ready for PLG. How would you coach new vendors trying to get in this space who are AI focused? PLG, let them experience some of your stuff. You can't, there's costs though. Like any coaching or advice there?
For the vendor.
For the vendor. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to get free consulting here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a very real, you and I have talked about this, there's a very real cost of delivery for an AI solution, which is tokens, right? So I'm going to burn tokens. So if I give you a free trial, that's not going to be free to me. I'm going to be burning tokens on your behalf until we get you into a paid arrangement.
That's different. That's different than SaaS. Yeah.
It's different than SaaS. SaaS has almost zero marginal cost of delivery, and AI does not. So I do have to figure that out. You got to figure out your economics, and you got to figure out your kind of assumed conversion rates, et cetera. But here's the first thing, and this is in the book too. The first thing you got to do is make sure that you can deliver impact on a reliable basis with whatever your solution is. The first thing is not pricing. The first thing is repeatable impact delivery. So whatever you're going to launch out there, you've got a hypothesis about your end user or your customer, their job to be done, and how your solution is going to deliver impact. Test that hypothesis. Bring 10 people through, see how many get out the other end with impact. 1, okay. 1 out of 10 is not great. Okay, cool. Change some stuff. I bring 10 more people in. I got 5 people out the other end with impact. That's actually pretally good. I get it up to 6. At some point, I'm like, that's product market fit. Now I got product market fit. Now let me think about, now I also have some signals on conversion rates. Like, if 6 people out of 10 got impact, there's a decent chance I'm going to be able to monetize those. Okay, cool. How many tokens can I burn to get them to that point of getting impact? And that's my cost of acquisition. Okay, got it. So now I'm going to spend $1.20 or $11 or $100 to get somebody to impact. And on a 6 out of 10 kind of basis, they're going to monetize into my paid project. Okay. I can make that pencil out, and now I'll just go start turning the crank on it.
Yeah. I mean, the impact, that's right. That is right. I mean, the challenge is there's so many shiny objects and a lot aren't doing any impact. And so the question is what drives impact and your costs associated with that. That's the right way to think about it. What is you, and we can wrap here in just a minute, but a few more questions for you. As you kind of think about the AI changing the landscape of work and how it fits in with some of these newer age models, where are you seeing, you've kind of talked about jobs and tasks being replaced more than entire roles. Like, how are you seeing the structure change in some of these businesses as they move towards this AI PLG kind of first motion?
So I like the idea of breaking a role down into tasks, and you can even think about that as, like we were talking about, like a production line in a factory. Like, okay, so I've got certain tasks that I do throughout my day in order to accomplish an overall job. Got it. So am I going to replace that whole human with AI? I don't know. You got a bipedal kind of animatronic, super cognitive, super nuanced robot ready to go? Like, probably not. Okay. All right. But do you have something that can do a task? Maybe so. So like maybe there's one thing that I do the same way every day that I really don't need to be spending my brain cycles on. So that's where I want to look in lean manufacturing, Gabe. There's a saying, I think you'll remember this. I've remembered it ever since I heard it. As they're innovating on kind of trying to streamline a manufacturing process, there's a saying: don't bolt down what you can't tape down, and don't tape down what you can't hold down. So what they're saying is, like, hold something in place until you're convinced that that's going to be the right way, and then tape it down and step away and see if it's going to keep flowing. And as soon as you're convinced of that, then bolt it down. So I can actually experiment my way into this. I can outsource one little task to maybe a bespoke solution like we were talking about. Then maybe I can hand it off to a real robot, and then eventually I'm going to outsource 3 or 4 adjacent tasks, and at some point I don't know, does it approach replacing a role? Maybe so, but I don't have to do it all.
I love it. Yeah, man. Look, yeah, that I don't know if I remember that from the old, bolt tape bolt analogy. It's a good one, and it feels like what's needed with AI, because yeah, you've got to kind of do this crawl, walk, run. It's just the best way to do it, and then you figure out where you want to go. All right, as we wrap here, go back big picture with me for a minute. I mean, a lot of companies wanting to jump into this journey, this kind of PLG AI stuff, and a lot of noise in the market, a lot of stuff going on. How do you start, or where are you coaching companies to almost like the crawl, walk, run idea? Like how do they start dipping their toe and moving? Because the time is, you can't sit on the sidelines. Obviously, you got to move in this direction. Companies who do are getting more of a competitive advantage. How do you recommend they get going on something like this? Besides get the book. Besides get the book.
Let's get the book. Yeah, start right here. Well, you're going to hate hearing this quote. Arvind Krishna, CEO of IBM, says the time for AI experimentation is over. It's like, what? Okay. I actually think I do need to experiment my way in, but he's like, wait, that's already over. Like, am I behind? And then like Mark Benioff says, we're the last generation to ever manage human-only teams.
Yeah.
Okay. So so there will be some robotics, there will be some AI stuff in my business for sure. And I got to figure out why. But where I would say to start, Gabe, is map out your process. This is exactly what got done in the lean manufacturing revolution. Just map out your process. What are the things, we do this all the time with clients. What are the things that have to happen in order to accomplish a certain workflow? Totally. Once you're mapped out, then you can start to consider which pieces of those can be replaced. And you can take, sorry, Arvind, you can take an experimental mindset as you do that, figure out what works, hold it down, tape it down, bolt it down, and then move on to the next one. Hold it down, tape it down, bolt it down, then move on to the next one.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, hey, Dave, I appreciate it. Great to have you on. If someone wants to get the book or learn a little bit more about this, what's the best way to do that?
Amazon's the super easiest, but wherever you are, if you're not in the United States, it's at Waterstones and bookshop.org. And it basically, because I went with this traditional publisher, you can get it pretty much anywhere. Target, Barnes & Noble, wherever you like to buy books. It's also available on Kindle. Audiobook, I get that question all the time, is not out yet. And so you got to start with either the print or the Kindle.
I love it. Awesome, man. Well, again, appreciate you jumping on. Awesome book. Grab it for everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, brother.